All right, guys, today we are doing something I was told not to do, but I feel like in the best interest of education and being as helpful as possible, I'm going to read through some of the comments, answer these to the best of my ability. Obviously, the ugly ones are going to be cut out. We're not going to mess with those, but there are a lot of really good questions in here that I do want to try to answer to the best of my ability. And like I said, I don't always have the answers. And that's something, if you've met me in business or in the ag world, I never ever oversell things. I always undersell and overdeliver. I am the very first one to say, I don't know that answer. Give me some time to figure it out. I'll get you that answer in a few days. Let me figure that out. This whole thing started out just me wanting to spray just turn row crops, and it's turned into so many other great things, aquatics and roadside projects and conifer and tree spraying. I mean, there's so many great things we've done now. Jonesboro City's been great to me. I went there just to show them I could do turn rows, and actually left there with, some mosquito abatement work and some, spraying cemeteries and trees and invasive insect, all kinds of things. And so that just fueled me more to call other agencies, like we got Arkansas Game and Fish involved, and we got the Arkansas Forestry Commission. So I'm always the first one to say, I'm not the expert, I don't know, but I'll try to get you the answer. First one, cool and awesome, but nothing like watching a dope crop duster roaring with a turbo prop overhead. You're right. My dad and granddad were crop dusters. Drones will never be as cool as planes. Ever, ever, ever will they be as cool as planes. Planes, helicopters, that's gonna be so much cooler. I mean, just flying over, doing that, drones are awesome. I love what I do, it's great. I think that we are better for the environment. We can do a lot more and be, helpful in some areas that planes and helicopters can't, but yeah, I get it, man. Planes are so much cooler, but it's not better for the environment. Okay, so this is gonna be a long debate and a long answer, but why are drones not better for the environment? I guess would be my question back to you. For us, I can tell you with the T50, we use about 10 gallons of gas to spray approximately to the 10 gallons of gas for our generator to power to recharge those batteries in a quick charge manner. About maybe 300 acres or so, roughly in there. If you were going to spray that same amount with an airplane or a helicopter, you're looking at a massive amount more use in just fuel alone, let alone the emissions coming out of the plane and the helicopter themselves. I think the drones are going to, just from a carbon emission standpoint, be significantly less. And then this comes into the debate of, it took so much carbon to create these drones. You're right, but how much for the planes and helicopters? What's the upkeep and the maintenance on drones? Significantly less. And then this really gets down to it. It's not better for the environment. I get it. Maybe it's better for the pilots. Growing up in ag, and especially with dad and granddad as a crop duster, you go to a lot of funerals. You go to a lot of crop dusters that have passed away, a lot at a young age. And I tell any crop dusters that I encounter and that I work with for help with, we're all on the same side. A rising tide lifts all boats. I want us all to go home at night paid and with our families. And if my drone crashes, I'm mad, but I'm alive. Hopefully, I guess you could crash into yourself, I don't know. But yeah, the drone crashes, we got insurance, it's cool, we'll move on, we'll repair it. Typically, I've got one being repaired right now. But yeah, I know 1 year recently we had, I believe, 4 crashes and 3 deaths just in Northeast Arkansas. To me, that's worth it in itself. If someone talking about carbon footprint, I automatically know this is not someone I want to be talking to. Well, why not? I've got a master's in science. I know a little bit. I've put a lot of research and time into this. If you looked at my profile, my history, I'm big into conservation. I've been involved and helped in so many conservation projects, game and fish, quail conservation, you name the wildlife, I've probably been involved in that conservation. As far as carbon, there again, we can get deep into it across how many acres do we have to spray before we have finally broken even on our carbon consumption to create that drone. It's not going to take that long, first of all. Second of all, we are going to get into carbon sequestration. That's a lot. That's going to be something that I'm going to break down here in a little bit. But when you start looking at scope 1 and scope 3 of carbon sequestration, and if you don't know those, we probably shouldn't be talking about carbon footprint. 30-pound battery and it only lasts 15 minutes? Yeah, because max load capacity is about 242 pounds. It's going to roll through them. So we use a quick charger or we use a generator with a quick charger to where as soon as it goes out and sprays and comes back or spreads and lands, that battery is pretty much already going to be full, and it's just a machine. As soon as it lands, battery swap, tank refill, boom, back in the air. That battery's on the charger, and off we go. Spraying chemicals with a drone makes them less toxic. Good on you. Yeah, man, if you've ever been in the field, you'll see the difference in them. Talk to anyone that lives out in the middle of a field that has to get sprayed all the time by planes or by tractors and the drift. I don't know if you know, but if you look at where the best pediatric cancer treatment facility in the country is, it's in the Mid-South. It's right there on the Mississippi River. Because they kind of, when they were building that, they kind of looked to see a central location and where they are able to, get to the patients and where the biggest accumulation of pediatric cancer in the country was. At the time it was Mid-South. I believe it still is. My background, if you guys don't know, I'm a nurse practitioner. I practiced in pediatrics for many years. And this was a natural transition over from, my family history, from they were already in ag, but I'm still, big supporter of medicine, all my nurses, my doctors. So that is a little personal as far as the toxic and things like that, because a lot of my patients had cancer. And a lot of them lived in the middle of fields. They lived out in the country. And so this is a reality we have in the South, to where housing here is not in an apartment, or it's not away from all the chemicals. Sometimes it's right in the middle of it. You can drive any direction from where I'm at right now, and eventually you're going to hit pasture or farmland, and in the middle of it are going to be normal people in their houses. Now, farmers own the land around that, and they're farming it, and unfortunately chemicals drift, and people probably inhale and absorb some things they shouldn't. And that's something that kind of gets swept under the rug a lot. So for me, it is personal. For me, I do see the difference in the drift as far as when we spray and the chemicals drift down. Drones are significantly less. Now, do I think any less planes? No, love planes. We still need them. They're great. I love them to death. I love that community I'm a part of. But we are able to offer some alternatives in a lot of areas where planes can't get to. So that's something that we kind of work, hand in hand with. So this long-winded article is talking about lower barrier to entry for something similar to a chemical attack. Well, you can't just buy these. Try it. If you do and you buy from someone that doesn't properly vet you, they're going to get in trouble. But as a dealer, we have to properly vet our people, our clients that we sell to. So we're supposed to have 3 layers of security around them as well to prevent an attack like that. So a lot of times we'll have like a fence around the drone, we'll have the drone locked up, and then we'll have the drone disabled on the inside of it. So we get 3 layers of security. Thank you for the love, for the well-informed and educated. I don't know, I try. Oxymoron statement about carbon negative or battery power. This thing is nothing. Yes, whoever you are, I see what you're talking about the coal gas. Yeah, it is generated, but now that it's generated, at what point do we continually produce and put out and spray and spread and put out cover crops for fertilizer and carbon sequestration and use it for carbon abatement and things like that? Do we start making up for what it took to make that drone, and then we start easing back into it? And it doesn't take us very long to get to that point, I promise. Stand by and watch, you'll see a lot of it. Do we have a leasing program? No, not in the US. You have to purchase the drone and have it registered under you. So someone asked about the benefits of drone use. There's a lot. I can't really go through it that quick. Fever 4174 explains some of it. They've got some little bit of knowledge in there. Leave my chemicals on my veggies. I get it, man. I don't like chewing on bugs though. Wash them really well and should be okay. I tell you, with everything that's around us, chemicals on your veggies are probably the least of your worries. There's probably a lot more around you that'll kill you a lot quicker than those will. And then as our farming practices, which is what I'm trying to get here. I'm trying to get out as much knowledge out about agriculture and what we do, and because I think there's a ton of misconceptions, just like anything out there in the world. I don't feel like agriculture is properly represented, and that there's enough videos and education and news out about them. So that's part of what I'm doing now, is trying to get that out to where people are able to see our growing practices, what we do. People think that we just soak our veggies in chemicals and then sell them to consumers. We don't do that. There's a lot of things we do behind the scenes to properly clean them, to not have to get the chemicals on them. To be honest, most often the crops don't get enough chemicals on them. Otherwise, we wouldn't have crop dusters, or we wouldn't have us here in this industry trying to do this. Carbon negative, every part of your equipment that was manufactured in a factory. You're right, it was. But after so long of running these, we're gonna make up for that carbon used very quickly, very quickly. The practices and also carbon sequestration and abatement, the drones is not a better option to do all that. So we're talking about carbon capture, we're talking about trapping that carbon back into the soil and the environment, things like that. That's what these drones are doing. We put out cover crops. Cover crops, there is not a better option to put cover crops out with than with a drone. We're able to put out low gates on high acres, medium gates. I mean, there's so many things, and that's like pounds per acre. There's so many different things, clover and wheat and rye, all these great cover crops we put out are helping sequester that carbon back into the ground, and is helping so much more. Then we're looking at carbon abatement, to where that's where you alternate, wetting and drying of certain crops, like rice is for one. So there's so many different things that we're doing with drones that are and this has just been in the last, so if you didn't know, don't feel bad. It's just been in the last couple of years, these have really become viable for that carbon sequestration. So that's the biggest thing. I thought plants love carbon. That's why some people burn their prairies. That is true. That is something that, field burning and things like that comes down to the area, comes down to the crop, comes down to what you're able to do. There are a lot of times better ways to get carbon back into the ground. So cover crops is really the pound for pound best option right now for scope 1 carbon sequestration. It's really the best one. It's going to be cover crops. Clover is a great one. Clover and rye, wheat, stuff like that. Carbon negative or reduced carbon footprint, that is our government. You can pay them off. Very true. Part of the carbon sequestration that we do is that you talk about being carbon negative. Well, all these big companies like Taylor Swift and all these other people that are touting to be carbon negative, they're buying the carbon credits that our farmers are producing and selling to the government. How are these farmers making them so well? By using drones to sequester carbon back into the ground. So literally the carbon credits that are being bought to keep other companies negative, we're making. So I don't know, does that make us double negative? I mean, that's not a thing, I'm just kidding. But I mean, that's the people that buy the carbon credits buy them from us because we make them, and they make them from our drones. So not our drones solely, of course, but they are possibly the best option for it now. So an airplane can spray hundreds of acres a day. The drone looks like it can hold about 8 ounces of chemicals, so it might be able to do 1 acre a day. No. So our T50, DJI T50, at 2 gallons per acre, 32 foot swath width, 32 feet per second, we're able to achieve, in the best cases, between 45 and 50 acres an hour. So if we're doing a 10-hour day, everything runs perfect, we're looking at, and this is where in our applicator world, people are going to come out, knives out, because depending on conditions and where you're at and your setup, how fast you can go, some are going to get 20 acres an hour, some 25, 30. The T50 we just have, it's brand new. We've been using it, but we got the first batch and run around. Typically last year I told clients 35 to 40 acres an hour was a good number to shoot for per drone. Some clients have 2 or 3 drones. So you run those back to back. I mean, we're able to get, I know there's several clients of mine, they're already 8 to 10,000 acres in, and we're only 6-8 weeks into this season so far. So we can get a lot more than an acre a day. I can buy a used crop dusting Cessna for half the price of a drone. Drone is 35,000. Drone is there. It carries 20 pounds per flight. No, it carries 88 to 120 pounds per flight. I don't think you can crop dust with your Cessna either, bud. I'm good. I'd rather have jobs for people and not trash plastic. A lot of times we're filling jobs that are empty anyway, or we're doing jobs that nobody else could do. So I promise we're not taking jobs from anybody. We're creating them and actually funneling youth back into agriculture, because right now I'm in a classroom and trying to show the youth that agriculture is cool, it's fun. This is stuff we love doing. So we got love and support from North Carolina. Thanks, guys. So it says just use an e-bike or small dirt bike to run around the boundary. That's what we do. We've got a dirt bike we use. So we actually either walk it or drive around the edge of the field with it. So it's something we like doing. I've looked at those e-bikes before. They don't have enough torque to make it through the mud in the areas we have to go through sometimes. T50 versus T60, I don't know. I don't know what that, I have no idea. We just got the 50 a few weeks, or over a month ago. We don't know. Nobody has any idea about the 60. It's in Asia as far as we know. How many acres can you spray off one tank? About 5 acres off each tank, 10.5 gallons at 2 gallons per acre. Sometimes we're higher, up to 5 gallons per acre, like for fungicides. So then that would be 2 per tank. So we're not as efficient when we're at 5 gallons per acre. We just have to go off the chemical. So the label is law. We have to check and make sure we can do ULV applications or micron or droplet size. We just have to change it from there.